Hello, beautiful people. Mi madre, she sent me a new book. This is the book. It's by George. I think that this book might be very good for content creators. Let me introduce you to it. George has been teaching at Syracuse University for 20 years. Let me read in George's words what they're trying to do. What we try to do over the next 3 years is help them achieve what I call their iconic space, the place from which they will write the stories that only they could write, using what makes them uniquely themselves, their strengths, their weaknesses, their obsessions, their peculiarities, the whole deal. At this level, good writing is assumed. The goal is to help them acquire the technical means to become defiantly and joyfully themselves. I think that's a drastically important concept for us content creators to come to grips with. It doesn't matter if you tell the same basic story as the next person. If you tell it from a place that only you can do with your strengths, your weaknesses, your personality, your peculiarities, I can't say peculiarities. Oh my lords. Your quirks, all those things that make you you. When you tell the story from that place, then you're going to be telling a story that has a better shot of being interesting. And it doesn't matter that the next YouTuber over is telling the same basic kind of story, because this will resonate from within you. It's your story. It's not their story, unless you are telling their story, and don't do that. George tells us that in a semester, their students will typically cover like 30 stories, but he picked 7 for this book, so we're getting the best of the crop. These 7 stories are supremely able to help the authors figure out the hows, the whens, and the whys that will keep readers keep reading. Sounds like retention, doesn't it? A Pavlovian word that makes content creators drool. George goes on some good paragraphs about why he believes these Russian short stories have the ability to get us where we want to go. And you can read those when you buy the book. I'll put a link in the description below. Powerful stories give us insights into some of the biggest questions. How are we supposed to live? What are we supposed to do down here? How are we supposed to treat each other? How are we supposed to treat each other with variables X, Y, and Z? What's our moral gold? And what can we buy with it? Now here's what George has to say about a story's ability to answer these big questions. Here, I'm going to read George's words on this. Check it out. For a story to ask these sorts of questions, we first have to finish it. It has to draw us in, compel us to keep going. So the aim of this book mainly is diagnostic. If a story drew us in, kept us reading, made us feel respected, how did it do that? I'm not a critic or a literary historian or an expert on Russian literature or any of that. The focus of my artistic life has been trying to learn to write emotionally moving stories that a reader feels compelled to finish. The basic drill that I'm proposing here is read the story, then turn your mind to the experience you've just had. Was there a place you found particularly moving, something you resisted or that confused you, a moment when you found yourself tearing up, getting annoyed, thinking anew, any lingering questions about the story? Any answer is acceptable. If you, my good-hearted trooper of a reader, felt it, it's valid. If it confounded you, that's worth mentioning. If you were bored or pissed off, valuable information. No need to dress up your response in literary language or express it in terms of theme or plot or character development or any of that. I have faith that this is going to teach me something, and let's engage with it. There's more to George's introduction than that, but I covered the parts that made me think, you know what? I think this is going to make me a better content creator. There's a casualness to the teaching that really resonates with me. Okay, the next video will be about whatever George has in store for us for our first exercise. I'll see you there.